And people gonna act like I'm tripping, but y'all gonna act like y'all that Kamala Harris is the most absent vice president we ever had. We have not. We seen Michelle Obama more than we seen Kamala Harris, y'all. And there is reports of Joe Biden's been ghosting Kamala Harris. But there's more to show, more current events, and I'm still under Fair Use Act. With seeing this, you can see it up in the top right corner. This is being used under fair use.
When Joe Biden made Kamala Harris his vice president, he promised to give her plenty of face time, including weekly lunches. The White House even said it was absolutely a priority. But according to public records reviewed by Real Clear Politics, that has happened only twice this year. This comes as we're hearing about more turmoil behind the scenes, including of one reported instance where the president snapped at Harris in front of Republicans, leaving them shocked.
I made the same deal with her that Barack and I made. When Barack and I were working out our relationship early on, he said, "Do you have any requests?" And I said, "Well, just one. I get to be the last person in the room on every important decision." We do the same thing, Barack and I. We have lunch alone once a week. That's the deal. We're both in country, which will be for a while because of COVID. And I see her, all the time.
The CNN exclusive. Insiders reveal for the first time tension and frustration behind the scenes between Vice President Kamala Harris and the White House. The accounts come from nearly 36 current and former Harris aides, administration officials, Democratic operatives, donors, and outside advisors who spoke to CNN about the complex reality inside the White House. On one side, members of Harris's inner circle who believe she's being sidelined and set up to fail instead of being positioned to be a future president. One former high-level Harris aide put it this way, put this up on screen: they're consistently sending her out there on losing issues in the wrong situations for her skill set. CNN has also learned Harris has told confidants she feels constrained in what she's able to do. The mood, apparently summed up by this satirical headline from The Onion, goes like this: that Harris defenders sometimes pass around when they're feeling annoyed. White House urges Kamala Harris to sit at computer all day in case emails come through. Of course, it's not that bad inside the White House. But on the other side of things, you have West Wing staffers who say they're completely exasperated, throwing up their hands at what they perceive as some of Harris's awkward mistakes, including some cringy answers on Israel and the border crisis. Sources tell CNN there's also the belief that Harris's staff has repeatedly failed her and left her exposed.
Despite assurances from the president that she will be the last person in the room, talking about the vice president that will have these weekly lunches, all of a sudden he's ghosted her. Maybe he's orbiting. Is that the word we learned yesterday, where he's just in her DMs? Whatever it is, it's one of yet a lack of depth and substance. And when you first said that, I was like, does she mean the lunches or the people? Because I think between the two of them, frankly, we're not seeing anything of depth or substance. It makes sense if they have nothing to talk about. You're absolutely right, though, that the succession tone of this is frankly worrisome, because I do want the potential successor, the next in line, to be at the ready, to be as knowledgeable, even more than the president, right? You always want the understudy to be ready at a moment's notice. And with everything going on, it certainly seems like that's not something that is not off the books.
No.
What y'all got to say about that? When, of course, Biden going to go to Kamala Harris, she exposed him in the preliminaries. Remember, there's his payback. You got a point there. She did. She was going at Joe. I forgot, and then turned around and joined forces with him. He probably like, yeah, all right. You think I'm gonna groom you to be president next? Yeah, all right, lady. I got you. Biden got in the White House and turned off the pipelines, and electric cars are coming out of nowhere so fast. So you tell me if the high gas prices wasn't on purpose. I know one thing, I was getting gas for $2 a gallon when Trump was in the office. I can tell you that for a fact. Uh, I'm talking crap about your boss's boss at work, and then 6 months later he hires you. You really think he just gonna forget about that? Yeah, you right, brother. Let's not forget how Biden chastised black leaders in that leaked audio when they asked what he was doing for the black community. Biden and Harris never got along. They used a few drops of black blood to get Biden elected. You goddamn right they did. And people fell for it too. She's the first black African American. She is not African American. People bought into the image instead of the policy. That's a fact. Yeah, Kamala is truly a bogus vice president. She just lost. She's just absent. Cardi B told us to vote for Kamala and Biden. Cardi B got a check to tell us to do that. No, Cardi B don't know nothing about no politics. She just like everybody else I know in the industry. They got paid. This time around, American people ain't going for the bullshit. They not. They didn't go for it last time. They just stole the election. People just don't want to believe that. That election in 24, the election in 24 is going to be a landslide win for Trump if he runs. Because diesel is over $6 a gallon. Yeah, I know. The price has been dropping a little bit lately, but not much. Yo, get your gas from Costco. Costco gas be like 50 cents cheaper than all these other gas stations. I don't think Trump can run again. Yes, he can. What are you tripping? You bugging. He definitely can run again. Piers had asked him that in another part of the interview. And he said he couldn't say, but the people would be happy. Yeah, you don't go to Cardi B for political advice. Kamala was in Mexico and people stood at the border with saying Trump won. Go home, Kamala Harris. And the media never showed us that. And that's the biggest crowd she ever got in her life. They never won. Well, I got one more video for y'all in regards to Miss Harris. And everybody has this I've been saying it like since the election. Where's this lady at? Where's this lady at? Where's this lady at? But here's another thing that I want to show y'all. And this as well is under the Fair Use Act for the purpose such as criticism, comments, and news reporting. This one's going to be very interesting to y'all.
We did it, Joe.
Kamala Harris made history as the first woman, first Black American, and first Asian American to become vice president.
What? Wait, what is she? Like, how is she like all these different? Like, she's too. What? Listen to what she can say. Listen to what she said again. When she said she's African American, and what? What?
Black American, and first Asian American to Kamala Harris made history as the first woman, first Black American, and first Asian American to become vice president. In some ways, the fanfare around her being sworn in overshadowed Joe Biden taking the oath of office. But after less than a year in the post, she is a historically unpopular VP. Where once she was always in the frame during Joe Biden's major addresses, she has been notably absent from the president's side of late. Her diminished public presence has even prompted one US columnist to nickname her the incredible disappearing vice president. Kamala Harris has an approval rating of 28%, down from 50% when she first took office. It appears to make her the least popular vice president at this stage of an administration in at least 50 years. For context, Mike Pence's approval ratings were above 40% at the same stage of Donald Trump's administration. So why is she seen to be doing so badly? Well, there's a feeling she's not delivered on the two biggest tasks that Joe Biden has entrusted her with. First, tackling the root causes of the migrant crisis. Despite a record spike of people coming into the US, she did not go to visit Mexico and Guatemala until June, 6 months after starting the job. During an interview, she gave an incredibly tone-deaf response when asked why she had so far declined to see the conditions on the border firsthand.
This whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making.
And her public comments once she was finally in Central America surprised many. She had previously called for a more compassionate approach to those arriving at the southern border, but said this:
to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border, do not come. The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border.
The second key task she's been given, and one critical to Democrats' electoral hopes, is voting rights. In June, the Senate killed a House-passed voting rights bill. The Democrats lacked the 60 votes to overcome a Republican filibuster. Harris's aides claim she is working hard behind the scenes to deliver the White House's agenda, but without any tangible actions for the public to cling to. Some have questioned how much impact she's having on the issue. She's made very few forays to Capitol Hill to build Republican support for voting legislation. And this highlights another issue for the vice president. Unlike Biden, who spent decades in the Senate, reaching across the aisle as a senator, Harris only spent a few years in the Senate while busy running for president. It's why some wonder whether she has the experience or the political acumen to secure bipartisan support for crucial legislation. Harris has also faced an exodus of senior staff amid reports of dysfunction within her office. The most recent high-profile departure is Simone Sanders, the vice president's spokesperson and her most prominent public defender. To help her course correct, Harris has since brought in crisis communications veterans to help her define her role and rebrand her public image. As well as her lack of experience in Washington, Harris has come under fire for her lack of visibility. She was a pillar during Biden's early televised speeches, but has often been missing from his side in recent months. That change has led to speculation about their relationship behind closed doors. Biden and Harris do not have a long political or personal history. In fact, the vice president once blindsided Biden when they were competing for the Democratic nomination, attacking his position on racial integration programs during a high-profile debate.
It was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country.
White House aides have privately suggested that Harris has brought some of the criticism upon herself, with planting responses during interviews. It has made it difficult, they say, for Biden to jump to her defense when he faces his own political crises.
Others argue that the dip in her approval ratings are the natural consequence of the weight of expectation that engulfed her historic nomination. After all, taking on the job of being number 2 can automatically diminish your profile. The polling seems damning, but is all the criticism fair? The White House has blamed sexism and racism for the attacks against Harris.
I do think there has been some attacks that are beyond because of her identity.
Despite the president's spokeswoman issuing a public defense, members of Harris's inner circle have also blamed White House aides for her troubles. They argue she is being sidelined rather than positioned effectively by Biden, who knows the challenges of being number 2 better than anyone. They have also been keen to highlight her accomplishments, which they say are not always appreciated by a Washington press corps who compare her against her white male predecessors. They point in particular to her efforts to encourage African Americans to get vaccinated against COVID, an achievement they believe has been under-recognized. And despite all the criticism, some say her low profile could be a deliberate way to strike a delicate balance. Associating herself too closely with a struggling president could harm her own future plans. But on the other hand, any hint of further political ambition right now could damage her standing with the Biden administration. Has the public lost faith in Kamala Harris?
She's not doing anything that she's supposed to, and she's not supporting the United States, the people, or the president for that matter.
Or is this a brief blip under the crushing weight of expectation around her?
She's worked her way up to get to where she is and give her a chance to do her job.
For now, at least, it seems she is no longer Joe Biden's heir apparent. A number of Democrats seem prepared to challenge her for the nomination should Biden not seek re-election in 2024. But with 3 years left to reverse course, it is too early to count Harris out.